Welcome to the dog farm. Hey friends, my name is Chef Matt Bonano. I live here in Gulfport, Florida. I grew up in Pennsylvania, but I lived and traveled around the United States extensively, cooking here and there. I lived in New York for a long time. I lived in Miami for a long time, and also spent 10 years in the great city of Atlanta, Georgia. But now here, I settled down here on the west coast of Florida, in Gulfport, Florida, one of the most beautiful places you can imagine. And I'm trying to cook a lot of great fresh food. I grow my own food in the summertime, and I grow my own food in the wintertime. And we like to plant a lot of things, from berries to lettuces, to different grasses, to different tomatoes, and all kinds of vegetables in between. This right here is a mango tree. Takes a little time to grow, but this is about a year now. Give it another 2 years, we're gonna have some mangoes, tiny mangoes, but then about 5 or 6 years when it becomes a tree, we get these really beautiful, prolific Florida mangoes. Over here is something I'm really looking forward to blooming. This is an elderberry bush. I bought this thing when it was about that big, and it made me paranoid just to put it in the ground. I thought it was gonna get eaten by squirrels in a heartbeat. Obviously it hasn't. It's grown really good. It's almost as big as me. So this is an elderberry bush, and elderberries, if you're not familiar with them, are very high in nutrients and vitamins. Every health food store has some sort of elderberry juice or compost or something about elderberries, and they're really tasty. If you ever see an elderberry jam at some fruit stands or some farm stands in the summertime, I definitely suggest grabbing it. It's really tasty. Over here we have some chili peppers that I grew last year. They're still coming up. These are hot and Indian, we call them the red annies. Over there we have some Scotch bonnets. I got some Thai chilies over here. Another batch of Thai chilies here in the middle of January, about to just go crazy. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 chilies in the middle of January, still growing here in Florida. They're all green now, but in about 2 weeks they're gonna be bright fire red. They're called Bandai Thai chilies. Really hot, searing hot in the beginning, and they mellow out and they got a really nice, beautiful fruity flavor to it. I chop them up and put them in a lot of sautés. I actually dry them sometimes and put them in my sauces and my soups when I make oxtails or short ribs, any kind of really long braised meat dish. I like to crush up a couple dried chilies and throw them in there just for a little oomph, a little buzz, a little, I don't know, a little hot fruitiness to it. And over here we got this big old bush that keeps growing and growing and growing. This is called Mexican oregano. It's got more of a nettles flavor, nettles feeling to it, if you know what that means. It's a little fuzzy. It's really oily. When you crack it open, you can see all the oils and the beautiful color. And it just smells like an entire bag of oregano, but it's very potent. You only need like 1 or 2 leaves to make any kind. I use this in my salsa verde sometimes. I do this with enchiladas, a lot of Mexican cooking. Just a lot of South American cooking is really good for this. Another good thing about having a garden in your house is you could just do that and nobody's gonna care. I like to grow a lot of chilies and a lot of tomatoes in the summertime, and now here in the wintertime, I got a nice selection of cabbages and greens and little baby lettuces from all over the world, from Italy to Canada and United States, and just some really great stuff that I like to cook with for my family here at home. The great part about living in Florida is that the weather is great for growing food all year long. Hey, here we are at the cage. I built this cage earlier in the year. I'm not a carpenter, I'm not very good, but it was pretty simple. It's a little crooked, but it does the job. When you got 1,000 squirrels just waiting to eat all of your produce and all your vegetables, you have to have a cage with a netting in it. So I put a little chicken wire around this and we're set to go. So inside here, I have 3 different plants. Actually I have 4. So you see the high ridges in here is where I plant all my lettuces and my cabbages. Over here, I have something called Nero di Toscano, which is a Venetian lettuce. It's kind of like a curly, thick leafed kale. I'm sure you've all seen these at specialty markets. On the other side, I have something called Celtis. It's kind of like a palm tree cabbage. It's not meant to be a palm tree, but it's got a really thick stalk, and then it grows high, and then it flowers out like that. So you have these big, heavy leaves drooping down over this big stalk of cabbage. You can eat it raw, you can eat it sauteed, you can eat it boiled or steamed. It's really great, and it's got a lot of vitamins, In the gullies here, I don't know if you can see it, that's where I plant my beets. Beets and turnips are really great root vegetables. They're really good in the gullies. You make a lot of space and you use it all up. by using the gullies, you're using the ridges, and then uses the sides of the actual cage itself. You try to get as much bang for your buck as possible. So I got little, they're called Detroit beets. I don't know why they're called Detroit, but they're called Detroit beets. They're really small, and they actually got a spiraling white stripe on the inside of the beet. They're really cool looking. So these are all heirloom lettuces that I get, and heirloom vegetables I get online from a couple great companies out there. The seeds are really hot, and what I mean by hot is that they're fresh and they'll sprout. As you can see, I try to plant about a good 6 or 7 in each little pod, and then I slice them, and then I thin them out. Just make sure that we're not doing too many in one spot, but I want to thin them out to get that biggest spot and that biggest leaf. So now, as you can see, I have a couple right here. So on my weekends, I do a cheese and charcuterie night here locally at a little place. So I like to trim some of these microgreens and bring them down to my restaurant on the weekends and use them as a little garnish. They taste really nice. They're a little very green tasting, they're a little peppery. So, and then on the other side, in the very back, I have something called Boston Bib. I think we're all familiar with Boston Bib lettuce. They got the little heads that just peel out. The little lettuces, the little leaves peel right out. You can use each leaf as a little cup for tuna salad or chicken salad or any kind of little things that holds together. So yeah, so here's my wintertime cage. In the summertime, I have my tomatoes and I have my eggplants in here. But in the wintertime, it's great because lettuces and cabbages, they really like cooler weather. Hard to believe right now because the sun's beating in my face and it feels like it's 80 degrees. These guys really like the cool weather. They don't like it when there's sun beating down on them. That's why I got this tree. I think it was really good positioning, this beautiful oak tree, which looks like a giant piece of broccoli. It's covering up and shading some of my lettuces and some of my cabbages. I have a lot of experience cooking for everybody you can imagine. I've cooked at colleges, I've cooked for blood donations, I've cooked for kings, I've cooked at the Olympics, I've cooked for the homeless, and I've cooked for all my friends. And I look forward to cooking for another half a life like I've already done. I cook for another 25 years if I can, and hopefully I'll cook for you. So do me a favor and do yourself a favor and please subscribe to my channel. It's Chef Matt Bonano with Cool Foods. Don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and ring that bell. All right, once again, my name is Chef Matt Bonano. Thanks for watching. Enjoy life and the food it brings you.